karaoke machine is working. All right. Lovely ladies and gentlemen, we're going to start the tour if anyone's interested. I'm going to tell you about Simone and how it's grown so close to here. Is there something in your eyes? All right, guys, follow me. We're gonna go. No more Lionel Richie, okay? I have to get to the bottom of this beer. Quick history lesson. Riverbend started in 2010. We planted 20 acres of barley just down the mountain, about 2 hours away. We had a 2,000 square foot malt house leased. We had no idea what we were doing.
Craft malt, similar to craft beer, wasn't really a term. You know, it was a micro malting, similar to micro beer when we first started. That was a name that someone else came up with. Brent and I were just making malt.
I'm Brian Simpson.
I'm Brent Manning, and we're the co-founders of Riverbend Malt House.
What we had to do is make craft malt something special. It has to be something just left of center, so you don't get undesirable results whenever you use craft malt, but there is something deliberate and intentional about what you're doing with it.
We built out the energy around this idea, early small batches, eventually morph into flagships. The good people at New Belgium come to see us and tell us that they're big fans of our Carolina rye. They place a large order for that, and that helps springboard us into Malt House 2.0. We bring on a CEO to help us raise money.
I was impressed with what I saw and loved the fact that the floor malting that we're doing, see some of it behind me here, is so old school. I mean, that goes back hundreds of years. That's the way it's been done from the beginning.
Into Malt House 3.0, which is where you're standing. 65,000 square feet down, 10,000 feet in the mezzanine. Current capabilities north of 3 million. The building, we believe, can produce, depending on who you ask and what mood they're in, anywhere from 5 to 10 million pounds without breaking a sweat.
What we do here can't happen without the passion that each of our individual employees feel.
Started reading up on Riverbend and I was like, wow, I love the mission. I love that they have found a way to connect farmers to fermenters and work directly with breweries and distilleries.
We have a fair amount of respect for and interest in farmers. In fact, the Malt with a Mission statement that is all over this malt house is all about connecting what's happening out in the craft beer and craft distilling world with local family-owned farms.
That resonates with me because my grandparents, they were farming for a while. My uncle, they have to deal with the ups and downs of the economy every year, and it just kind of feels like I get to tie myself back into the roots of my actual home. If I can have any hand of facilitating that with my family roots to what I'm drinking at a bar, yeah, sign me up.
It's that level of excitement and that level of commitment that enables us to be what we are. So at the end of the day, we are no better than our employees, and we have great employees.
Craft malt in particular is important to us because it helps us to move our entire brand to have a specific character. So we use all craft malt for our base malt, and then that allows us to use malt that's sourced from within 500 miles of the brewery. It does add a layer of cohesion to all of our beers, and it also helps to support the local economy, which, especially in a time like right now, we really value. It's really cool to be able to use wheat and Pilsner malt that was unlike any other wheat and Pilsner malt that I'd ever used before, and it imparted really cool character. And to be able to watch them grow and have their portfolio expand, and all of that wrapped up in it's sourced from within 500 miles of the area. They're very conscientious about like who they're using, making sure that the growing practices are right, making sure that the quality is there.
It goes back to just a very early friendship and appreciation for what Brent and Brian and the Riverbend team were setting out to accomplish and have accomplished. And again, in a lot of ways, we wouldn't have grown to the brewery that we are without that partnership. I felt even more intrinsically just sort of linked, because it was like, well, my ability to create beers that I'm able to talk about as being local is completely reliant upon Riverbend's success.
When you're sharing a customer connection and a love for the land, then the conversation gets real pretty quickly. We want to normalize and make every day local, and that means selling at the grocery stores and at chain restaurants, but also investing and making the conscious decision to buy local grain. Our biggest, by far, the biggest impact of our $500,000 investment in local agriculture over the past decade.
We've been buying Riverbend since the beginning. I really appreciate it being so regional. And not only do we have them here and have really great fresh malt, but the fact that so much is sourced from this region, gives their malt its own special, terroir, so to speak, which is always really cool when you can have something like that that's really, different and unique and special to offer. Like the Sunset Wheat, never would have thought of something like that, and I love it.
Tell them what you're doing today, Brent.
Oh, this is our anniversary Riverbend Pale Ale featuring Sunset Wheat.
So this is a new product that we put together for our 10th anniversary. It's called Sunset Wheat. We took our classic sort of Appalachian wheat base malt that's made with soft red winter wheat, and we've gotten pretty good at an established Munich kilning recipe. So when we make Munich malt, we essentially stretch out what would traditionally be about a 24-hour run into something closer to 30 hours. We want something that's got, a good bit of color, but we still need good extract, and we still want good level of diastolic power. You're getting something that's, sweet like cookie dough with a little bit of baking spice in the finish there. We're really excited how this turned out, and really pumped to see what our brewers and distillers make with it.
It's been wild. It's still wild to walk through the building in the mornings and see how far this has come from that little smoker in my basement, and telling my wife I'm quitting my job, I'm starting a malt house, and then she answers with, "What's a malt house?" And I'm like, "Don't worry, I got this."
We are maniacal about product quality, consistency, and getting stuff right for our customers.
It's been an exciting ride. When Riverbend first started, we were one of just 3 or 4 malt houses on the continent. We've gone coast to coast. Just about every geographic region of the U.S. and Canada has a craft malt house now. So I think that's fantastic. It's getting the word out. It's getting, it's making that agricultural connection with a broader audience across the nation, and I really think that's a huge step forward. Riverbend has one foot in the past, one foot in the future, and so that to me is always interesting, is having those conversations about, an heirloom grain that comes from a farmer that's called me completely out of the blue, or on the flip side, maybe talking to a researcher at Virginia Tech or University of Florida or NC State, and they're saying, hey, we're running these types of trials on a variety that's still unnamed, and they want feedback from us about the flavor profiles. And holding space for both of those is super exciting for me, and I really get into that piece. Connectivity to the farmer and to the researcher, and then to the finished beer and the brewer. Like being able to tell that narrative is exciting.
been a wild ride. My hair was a lot browner and a lot thicker when we started back in 2010, so here we are.